So here Karen's playing under a stressful situation. She has a long shot at the 8 ball, and look at your hand position. You don't even remotely have a good grip on that. Your thumb is on top. The thing is barely hanging off of your fingertips, and you know what we want. We want a loop there. But watch what happens when you go to shoot because of all this. And you're
watching my hand.
Elbows way up.
look at how your arm is. It's cocked back like that. So you're in position now with your tip next to the ball, but your arm is way too far back and you're not hanging properly onto that stick. Now watch what happens. The thumb is on top of the stick. There's no way she can stroke this ball without her thumb getting in the way of the forward stroking motion. Now we're in slow motion here. Watch what happens. That's where she starts with her little finger. Having a nice loop for her fingers. Her arm is too far back. And look at that, you went sideways. Motion she has when she strokes. You went sideways about 4 or 5 inches. Wow. Sideways more than it does forward. In fact, I don't even know if you went forward. I think you went like maybe an inch forward.
Yeah, because she was close to the ball.
This grip and arm position are going to betray her whenever she's under stress, and she is not going to be consistent. Now you started to grip it properly. I'm dead serious. You had to catch it, or it was going to fall out of your hand, so you gripped it properly. Wow. This is going to be so important for you, Karen, because you are really good as far as, and what you did is stood up and said something about aiming. It had nothing to do with aiming. In fact, for you, it'll never have anything to do with aiming, because you know how to aim. There's nothing wrong with your aiming whatsoever, and that's never going to be to blame for a miss. What's going to be a blame for a miss is the stroke. And by the way, it's always the stroke with everybody. There's no such thing as somebody who can't aim a pool ball. Everybody in the world can walk up to a pool ball and tell you where to aim.
And I don't have the feel for this straight.
And that's
maybe I should start looking back, because I just don't have the feel for it. Once I get down.
In the beginning, it doesn't hurt at all to look back at it.
And I'm going down at the ball, so I mean, I guess.
But see, your elbow's way up.
Does it need to be back here?
Well, her elbow can be up as long as it's in line with the shot, and that's the main thing. So if I get down at the other end of the table, when I line this up, every single part of the right side of my body needs to be lined up on that. So the first thing is the eyes, and that's where this little twist comes in like this. And then my hip and my foot are in line. My hand is in line when I come down on this. My upper arm and my lower arm should both be in line. Okay, everything has to be on that line. That's why you can't come in like this and do a shot. You'll hit it wrong at 75% of the time when you do that. That's why you have to come from here, and all of this has to be in line, and this has to be hanging straight down with lots of clearance here. It's 15 seconds worth of stuff, and almost nobody's willing to take it seriously enough to make every little aspect of this, because if you did every little aspect of this every time, just 15 seconds worth of work, and learned it and repeated it, you wouldn't miss balls, Karen, and you get upset whenever you miss balls because you know you can make them. And you make it 3 times in a row, and then you're way off like on that shot. But it's because of the form. It's because you need to be willing to hit this like 100 times in a row and make sure all this stuff's in line. Is everything in line? Yep, my upper arm, my elbow, my eyes, my groove and my thumb, everything is on the exact same line. And if I come down on this and it doesn't look right to me, I might stand up and change that line with my foot by 1/2 inch and come back down and then go, yeah, that's right. Because if my foot is 1/2 inch off, I'm probably going to miss that shot. And if my grip is wavery or my bridge is wavery like this, I'm probably going to miss that shot. It's about firmness, and it's about just learning this 15 seconds worth of stuff, and that's all it is. So why don't we, you were doing a good grip there, but let's just walk through grip mechanics right now, just to remind everybody. And that is this. You want to hold the stick in a loop of your hand. And the way to get to that loop and to the right firmness of the grip is to take your stick and just let it slide like that. And when it's able to slide like that, you're at the right setting. So basically you're just turning it over and gripping it that tight this way. So now the grip, and you don't have to point your fingers out like that, but the thumb should be pointed down in a conventional, and the only thing we should be thinking about is a conventional stroke, not to copy some pro because he sticks his thumb off to the side or whatever. There's a reason that Mark Wilson came up with what he calls the orthodox stroke, because it's the easiest stroke for an amateur to learn and go ahead and use for the rest of their life if they do it exactly the same way every time, and that's to have the thumb down. These two fingers are the main thing that the stick's riding on, and as your arm goes back and forth, it's just rocking on that loosely. But when you're holding it with your fingertips like this, at some point during the course of that stroke, you're going to guide it one way or the other with those delicate fingertips. If you're like this, you can't guide it. You'd have to move your whole arm to guide it. But if you have a hold of it like that, now you're going to guide it, you're going to steer it, and the tip's going to go crooked. So this is just absolutely important. And now we go to Kayla, who last week was struggling to get alignment.
Way to go.
Oh, I thought there was going to be a video.
And no, there's no video. I left when Robin started to work with you, and it's really helpful to have it. And that's why I really like this business, and this is what Mark Wilson does as well, is teaches groups of people, and then he pairs up people. And he says, you know what that person has to work on, and they know what you have to work on. So let's say the two of you are working together on each end of the table, or you're setting balls for each other to do a drill. You know what she needs to work on, and she knows what you need to work on, so you can help each other.
Okay.
And that peer help probably helps more than some instructor standing over you or being, like you said, I'm inside your head while you're standing there like a deer frozen in the headlights, right? And that isn't the best place to be, to feel like somebody's standing over you lecturing you. Mm-hmm. But that is what I do, and it's sort of what I have to do in order to get these things across. Right. But then you guys can work with each other, and that's what this idea about having this ladies team, and we have a new lady here. What's your name, ma'am?
Wilhelmina.
After I left, Robin started working with Kayla, and Kayla got things straightened out a little bit, I hear, and that was because of the bridge, which I knew her bridge was goofy, but I thought it was her eyes that were the problem at the time, and so that's what I was focusing on. You can only focus on one or two things at a time, or really only one thing at a time. And so, you know, you go back to you, Karen, and you really need to focus on that grip. That came out of that video like, wow, you can't possibly shoot the ball straight with that, holding the stick like that. So that gives you something tangible that you can really work with.
That was really amazing seeing that, because you're right,
she went sideways.
Went sideways.
She's like this, and she goes like that.
And like she snapped the cube.
Yeah. And this is obviously the stroke that we want. And when you do that, you do it beautifully. You're going to get good so fast it's going to be unbelievable, because you already have an eye for how to pocket balls and stuff. But without the stroke to go with the eye, you'll keep blaming your aim, and it's not your aim. It's never going to be your aim.
Like you said, that 15 seconds, because when you're playing a game, for me, all my focus is from here out.
Right, yeah.
Here out.
Well, that's another thing with you, and you can't see it in that video, but what you're doing a lot of times, and you did it with that shot, but you can't see, you can only see it on, I had another strip of video that I didn't use, but what you're doing is something that Kayla's working on, and that is, when you're doing those kind of shots, you're coming down like this, and you're putting your chin way forward. And if you think about a firearm, if you shoot from back here, you can aim it real well, but if you come up here like this, you can't aim it very well, plus you usually get a black eye from it. So, those are the position of your head is going to be really important, but for right now that grip has to be worked on. But your head should be back behind that, your chin should be back behind this joint, and that's something to key on. So why don't you walk through what you did with Kayla, okay? Can we do
Well,
that?
actually, it was Steve. Steve noticed her wobbly
Okay.
bridge, and he came over.
Steve Hickman.
Steve Hickman.
Yeah.
And he came over and he said, "Your bridge is so wobbly."
Yeah. So
She was missing the ball.
Yeah.
Totally missing the ball.
Yeah.
and then once he showed me a different way to do my bridge.
Okay, let's see it. Why don't you shoot a few balls up the table?
Let's see it, Kayla. Let's see it.
Let's see it.
And then she was doing the mother drill and getting it.
But we'd like your hand a lot closer, yeah.
Even a little closer.
Closer up.
Yep.
And I think you need to get your arm out a little bit like that because you're in too close to your hip. So,
Okay.
but go ahead from there and let's just see the stroke. You see what's wrong there
Well,
from your position? Is her head's way too far forward on the stick.
but how do you, when it's that far away, I was noticing that.
Yeah.
Her head was above the drill, her chin was above.
In front of the joint, yeah. And one of the things
How
I
do you
want,
get behind it?
well, let's see.
Your hand's so close to the tip and you're,
The further out it is, the easier it'll be to do,
Well,
actually.
let's just do it
Okay.
from where it was.
Okay, from where it was, you should be able to do it round, but you get too far forward sometimes too, so.
Oh, so she's leaning forward.
You have to reach.
Oh, okay.
What's happening is both Karen and Kayla do this.
They lean.
Yeah,
I see.
and what you want to do is this.
Yeah.
As if you're shooting a rifle, you want to be back away from it. If you watch the videos of Fedor Gorst, he's like
Okay, but
way back
you
here.
have longer arms. Let me try.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
And so do you. So you're saying I need to have my
Yeah,
hand up
you-
here, but my chin back here, and I can't. I'm too short.
Mm-hmm.
My arms are too short. So we can't always do that. Your arms are longer, so you can get back here.
Well, let me see you do that again, and let's just see what we can do. See, in some cases,
I can't move back any farther.
I don't know that that's true.
How's this? I'm behind it now. It's really a stretch.
comfortable for me.
Do the twist your hips to the right like that while you're down. Yeah, do that once and see what happens. Now twist them back the other way. Okay, twist them back again. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're just so small, Robin. It's going to be really difficult for you.
But I was a little behind it.
Yeah, and you should be able to get behind it. And
It just felt really awkward.
you have to stretch a little bit to do it. And that means, and Karen, especially for you, is stretching this arm out like that instead of having it like this.
Okay.
You want to get down on it like this, and it's better to get as far back on it as you can. And that's why a stiff, straight back leg is often so helpful. And it's also helpful for through the day if you're going to do a tournament or something. The less you flex your legs, the better. So if you're only flexing the front leg, that you're using half the energy on each shot in the flex of the legs. So having this back, you want your weight evenly distributed, but if you keep this back leg straight, you can come down on it and still be evenly distributed, but be back here a little bit. And you're going to feel it. I can feel it right now because I'm stretching a little more than I usually do. So let's see you just try and concentrate on that.
Okay.
Getting this 15-second routine down is everything.
It really is. And it's
Doing it exactly the same way every time.
seconds isn't that long in a shot. So what a lot of people do is take way too much time figuring out what
Right.
shot they're going to do. So then they feel like they got to hurry.
Right. But the meat of the shot itself, there, now that's better. Your chin is there. See how you moved your head back? You can do some manipulations to make sure. The longer the distance is between your chin and the tip, the more finely you're going to be able to aim.
Okay.
It's a nice smooth arm movement. That's very good. Okay, let's see Karen try that now. Your bridge looks 100 times better, and I should have started you off with a better bridge to start with. Thanks to Steve Hickman for saving the day.
I feel like I can concentrate more on what I'm doing instead of the wobbly or
Wobbly,
unevenness.
You can't have a wobbly bridge.
Yeah, that straight left arm will win you a lot of shots. You're doing a lot better than you did last week.
That's pretty good.
So both of you are hitting it a little on the right.
Right. To the right.
Yeah.
She's hitting the center of the ball, but she's hitting it to the right a little bit.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Right on the two.
Now that time it was perfectly straight and it's coming back perfectly straight, and that's a perfect stroke. Just do that 1,000 times now
1,000 times.
and send me your tuition check. That one you hit a little bit on the right side of the cue ball. Okay, let's see you do that, Robin. Let's have everybody. If you guys take a little time, and there's like 5 or 6 pros that I would recommend, but there's 2 of them that come to mind right now. One is Fedor Gorst, and the other one is Allison Fisher.
Okay.
And Allison Fisher is probably the most extreme example of perfection, but Fedor's close to perfection too. And what you'll find when you watch those 2 shoot is, if you watch them shoot 100 shots in a tournament, there's not any 2 shots that you could tell what they were shooting at. They're doing exactly the same thing every single time. And Allison's eyes and how she locks onto the ball and how she strokes the ball are almost perfect. And so I'd put her even ahead of Fedor, because the thing about Fedor is he's a tall man, and that doesn't translate as well for you guys as a normal stature woman. But she has a perfect stroke. It's perfect. And you know what she does every single year? She visits Mark Wilson's home every year because her stroke isn't perfect enough for her, and she needs it tuned up every year. That's how hard it is to do this stuff. It's not like she figured it out 20 years ago and she's the best woman in the world, and she is the best woman in America right now. It's not like she figured it out. She has to keep figuring it out all the time. How's that feel to get back a little further, Robin?
Awkward. But never thought about it before.
Yeah, everything's perfectly in line with you. You know how to do everything.
So now she's got a really long bridge, like I would.
But a long bridge is okay. You, Karen, would have a long bridge associated with a thumb on top of the stick, associated with your chin too far forward, associated with a bent arm, you know.
Amazing, I hit a ball at all.
And so one of the first things I honed in on was the long bridge, because just shortening that up usually helps somebody, but we got to work on all those things.
So just shortening.
And you're remarkably good at pocketing balls in spite of all that. And that's why I have such high ambitions for you. I think you could be a high-level amateur player. Don't you agree, Robin?
Yeah.
If you look at any of the women in the league, she probably has more potential than any of them.
The only balls as you do.
Yeah,
That's what I said.
that's the amazing part. I watch you sometimes, and I'm like, how the hell did she make that?
Bill, you want to try it?
There's a couple of other women, and one of them is Stacy, has a beautiful stroke. But you're among, you're right there as somebody that could
Tammy,
scream up.
For some reason, isn't it?
Just shortening the bridge, I think, took me from, running 3 balls to running 4.
Yeah, shortening that bridge is huge. Now, getting that thumb all the time in proper position and keeping that front arm straight, and the straight front arm will help you with the bridge to get it closer. And by thinking about, because you're keying on getting the bridge closer, then reach out that arm and that'll bring your chin back.
You gotta bring your chin back, Bill.
Yeah, Bill's too far forward too.
Back behind
The joint.
chin needs to be behind there.
Well, that feels really,
It feels
That's what I
awkward.
said.
When you do it right, it's not going to feel right because you've been doing it wrong.
Hit your line. Your line is supposed to be straight. Use the diamond. Straight.
wow, I can't believe I was over here
You
like
were.
this.
I go, why are you doing that?
Well, another thing I'm concerned with is the foot placement. Right?
Straight.
You always say it has to be in a straight line. But does that mean,
Well, you're going to turn it though. You can turn it when you come down on it. There you go, Bill. That's quite good.
I saw the video, but I wasn't here.
Okay, now the next thing we want to do is each of us do this, only do it hard up and down the table, because everybody's doing pretty good now at getting it back to their tip. This is when the stroke falls completely apart, is when you try to, can I see your stick, Bill? You're trying to hit this ball down to that end, back to this end, down to that end, and back through these balls. And when you do that, any little imperfection that shows up is going to make it go erratic, like that.
I see.
Okay, that was an error in aim. So I missed it by a little bit. Thank you, Robin. And that had a little bit of spin on it. So I'm consistently going a little bit to the right, so I've got to adjust a little bit. This is when, before a league match or something, you should find a table by yourself and just do this until you get it straightened out. Once you get it straightened out, you're like, you should be able to make anything. Any reasonable shot on the table. That was way off. So now I'm going way off to the right, and I just keep going at it. And one of these times I'll get it. Maybe. Very consistent misses. And this is what usually happens when you do this.
You work on your stance, buddy.
I'm telling you, that's why you watch people, now I corrected a little bit for you. You watch people in league play and they'll make a shot, make a shot, make a shot, and then they get a hard shot and they hit the ball hard and then almost never make it. Have you noticed that before?
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah. You can pick them out.
What are you looking for?
My glasses.
I think that.
there I go. I finally got a straight one, see? So,
I'll be right back.
everybody try this. Let's try Kayla first.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's hard enough.
Yeah, you got to hit it harder, and I don't know how to tell you to do that. Let me watch you do it. And this may be too advanced for you right now. We might want to wait on this. Okay, I want you to go back. I want you to pause at the back of your stroke for like a count of 2.
Okay.
Go back, pause, and then let your brain carry your arm forward. Yeah, in other words, you're coming back, you're pausing to give your arm time to know that now it's going to go forward, and then do the forward motion. But only with your lower arm, not your upper arm. Just hold that. Yep, we're going to have to do some work to get you to strike the ball harder. You're hitting it straight, but not hard enough. Let me try something out on you. I want you to get back and start to get into position. I want you to widen your stance a little bit. When you put that left foot out, remember we were talking about turning that hip a little bit the other day? Put that left foot a little wider. You're coming like this, and you're imbalanced.
Okay.
And I think that makes you hesitant to stroke as hard as you could because your weight isn't distributed evenly. Okay, now you've just created an extra 2 inches of hip clearance there that you didn't have before by doing that. And that's what we want.
Okay.
Bring that tip all the way back to your thumb. There you go. Good. You're hitting it straight.
Okay.
That's great. Let's see you, Karen. And I know Karen will be able to slap it in there like it's a rock into the forehead of Jack the Giant. That thumb out of the shot. That's beautiful.
That was nice.
Yeah, nice one.
Go through the whole thing.
I'm taking notes.
And I want to see that pause on the backstroke. No, I want you to pause on the backstroke.
Oh.
You're quick stroking it. But you're hitting it straight. But this should be a fluid kind of deal. So here's what you just did. You went kind of like that.
Because I'm trying to hit it hard, yeah.
And what I want you to do is come back, pause, there's a feeling that you get. We talked the other day about snapping fingers, did we? If you try and take your finger and just go like that, you can't even make a snapping noise because you can't make it go far enough. But if you press it on your thumb and then let go, it snaps forward. And that's the feeling that you should have when you're coming back and you're going to hit it hard. You're coming back like that and you're feeling you're not feeling muscle tension, but you're feeling the tension of the forward stroke. So you're coming back, all the way back, and then fluidly stroking through, not doing this kind of routine. Your brain doesn't have time to reverse itself. It's almost a slow motion thing coming back. Did you watch that video with Mark Wilson?
I have not.
You should watch that because he talks about this. When Allison Fisher takes, go ahead and do it. Yeah, you did it again. You did this. So, if I were to measure the time frame that it takes you to, and Mark Wilson does this I've taken, I think, 4 clinics from him, and every time he does it, and he does it in this video that I sent you. But he gets up pretty good pool shooter and has him shoot, and he measures the length of time that this guy's going back like this, and it was 0.3 seconds. And then he shows you Allison Fisher, and it's 1.2 seconds.
I don't understand.
Okay, from here, from the set position on here, the amateur is going to take them to go back and back forward again. It's going to take them about 0.3 seconds. About that quick. Allison Fisher takes 1.2 seconds, 4 times as long, so she's going like this. And every single pro
how
does that.
What difference does that make?
We know that it makes a huge difference. People might have different interpretations of it, but here's my interpretation. When you go back and forwards, your arm needs to come to 100%, zero velocity when it comes back because it's reversing. It's like when you take a car and you slow it down to turn around. You want to do a U-turn as fast as you can. You're a cop and you just saw somebody break the law and you're going 60 miles an hour that way. How do you go 60 miles an hour the other way? Do you jerk the car around and swing the steering wheel and swing it around? No, you'll wreck the car. And if you bring your stick back and jerk it forward, you'll wreck your shot. So what the car has to do is slow down turn around, and then speed up again. And what your arm has to do, and the more you emphasize it, the better a job it'll do at transferring the energy. So when I pull back like this, I don't have to strike anything. I can be as careful and as refined as I possibly can be to bring it back. And the muscles that I'm using to come back like this are completely different ones that I'm going to use to go forward. So what happens if you jerk it back and forward real quick is those muscles start fighting with each other. You don't know whether you're going forward. Your lower brain doesn't know whether you're going forward or backwards yet. Which one are you doing? And so it causes everything to go awry. It causes tension in your arm. But if you go back slow, it's like this. You're building up a tension when you snap your fingers. You're building up a understanding of your musculature. I'm going back. I'm going to stop completely here. And now everybody else is going to get involved that wasn't involved before. In other words, there's no competing. I'm completely stopped. And now I know every motion is forward like that. And it comes out beautiful when you do that. But we know this just from analysis of pro athletes in almost every sport. There's a thing called the quiet eye. It's a branch of study in sports medicine. That if you're hitting a baseball, if you're hitting a tennis ball, if you're hitting a pool ball, they've done it with pool, a golf ball, whatever, the pro is gazing at the target for 2 or 3 times as long as the amateur is.
Jim, another example would be like if you have a bow and arrow and you go like that.
Yes.
Or you pull back.
You pull back, you come to a complete hold, and then you release. And the muscles that you're using to pull back are completely different ones than the release muscles. And good archers do everything they can to hold that pose for seconds afterwards. You'll see them hold that pose for 3 seconds. Because anticipating that I'm about to let go, your body needs to know what you're trying to do. And you confuse the hell out of it with this, that confuses the hell out of it.
And we all do it.
We all do it, and I do it as well. And but who doesn't do it? Allison Fisher doesn't do it. And that's why she's the #1 woman in America. Even though she's not an American. I guess she is now.
Is she the British woman?
Yeah. That's much better. And now, so what we're really doing, Karen, is coming back to everything that the first time we had a lesson, everything we talked about, that whole thing I went through about the 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, all that stuff. That's all absolutely necessary. And so, you know, as long as we go on with these lessons, you're not going to get away from having to do that. So you might as well do it because you have to do it. You can't learn this repeatedly and consistently without having all that stuff engaged. So this is a slow back, a complete pause, and then a forward stroke. That is beautiful. That's a thing of beauty when you see a pro do that. You feel the difference?
I did.
Yeah.
It was smooth.
It's smooth. You're a smooth operator. Much better. And it doesn't matter, you know, the outcome because you're busy working on one part of your stroke. You want to try this again? We've got to get you some more velocity, Kayla, because sometimes you're going to have to, especially when you're shooting draw shots or stop shots, you're going to have to be able to hit the ball harder.
Yeah.
And I don't know why you can't. Just go ahead and hit it as hard as you can.
I think I'm just too gentle of a person.
Yeah. Just slap that ball as hard as you can and then get your hand out of the way and your forehead.
We'll see what we can do.
That was good.
That's much better. You need to be able to strike it that hard.
Okay.
You don't have to be able to strike it much harder than that.
Well, that's good.
Let's see how hard you can hit it.
Okay.
Try and break it. And you're not going to hurt anything doing that.
Okay.
Kayla and Robin Hamlet are two of the most affirming people I've ever met. Everything's okay and yes. This woman argues with everything. Yeah. It's a measurement in the Big Five personality test called agreeableness. And Robin and Karen and I are all low on agreeability.
I have 3 sisters.
And
I didn't develop that way.
And
I
Bill,
was the older sister, and I had 2 brothers.
Kayla, Robin Hamlet, and Ann especially probably is in the 0 percentile, or on the 100 percentile of agreeableness. Okay, you're striking it a little better. Just be bold, you know. Don't be afraid to hit it.
Okay.
What I want you to do is to draw that tip. Come on down again. When you get ready, let me know. I want this tip to come all the way back here like this so that your arm is extended back there.
Okay.
And then you need to accelerate into it. Start out slow and just slam into that ball hard. Yeah.
That was all.
Bring her all the way back to your thumb. What's happening is you're hitting low on the cue ball and it's causing it to go backwards and that slows it down. Mm-hmm. So you want to hit the center of the cue ball or higher. It's okay to hit it higher than the center.
Okay.
There you go. That's much better. Don't worry about it going straight.
Yeah, it was all over the place.
Let's do that one more time. Okay. And that's something to practice, and your bridge looks so much better now.
It feels better.
Yeah. I'll see how far it inches its way forward all the time.
Give her a rubber band.
I need one for my chin too, apparently.
That was almost perfect.
It was.
Good.
Better than I did.
Whoop, that one went off. Oh, good.
Okay, so watch this.
Allison Fisher, can you guys see this? Okay. Now, we'll just play it at full speed here.
That's
and then
at
I'll
Mark's
break it down
house.
for you. She's looking to make a long shot here in between these two balls.
Here's Allison Fisher.
You see how much care she has when she enters the shot.
0.3 of a second, and Allison is 1.8 seconds.
Yeah, I'm terrified.
It's a big difference.
Yeah.
So,
And
whole
it's
thing is-
probably the most important difference in the pool stroke. There are 2 things. One is the length of gaze that you're taking at the object ball at the end should be about 0.6 seconds. And the pros are 0.6, 0.7, 0.8 seconds. Amateurs are 0.2 seconds. When a pro misses a shot, it's about 0.3 seconds, 300 milliseconds. So when they don't hold their gaze, they too miss the shot. But the amateur almost never holds their gaze long enough. And the second thing is, how slow is the backstroke? And again, it has to be 2 or 3 times longer than the typical backstroke that you see in league pool.
I feel like I look at that target ball forever.
You're going to what?
I said I feel like I look at that target ball forever.
Well, that may be, but the camera would say otherwise. When they take these high-speed cameras and they put it on people's eyes, you think you're holding your gaze, but you're really not. And so the difference comes out on that final moment. That last gaze that you take at the baseball or the tennis ball or the golf ball or the pool ball is about 2 or 3 times longer in the pro.
And the when you're hitting the cue ball and when you're right at that final moment, The last thing you look at is the object ball.
Absolutely. You'll hear pros saying they look at the cue ball last, but it's not something that an amateur should do because most don't do that, and the orthodox stroke that Mark teaches and others teach does not do that. You do not do that. All this makes sense?
Because I find myself sometimes staring at the
Process.
cue ball right at that last second.
You guys want to do some drills or what? Okay, let's open up another table and have 2 people we got 4 people? Have 2 at each table.